Pre-pandemic, the United States incarcerated over 2 million people, dropping down to 1.9, mainly due to the slowing of court proceedings. This being explained by the 40% decrease in prison admissions, according to Wendy Sawyer and Peter Wagner, the research director and executive director of Prison Policy Initiative. It is time for the United States to change the way it looks at and treats drug possession and addiction, legally and socially. In this speech, I will argue for the decriminalization of illicit substances in the United States. I will start by giving an example of a system from Portugal, then give possible economic and societal benefits, and finally refute arguments against drug decriminalization. Decriminalization would not legalize drugs. If we were to follow the laws implemented by Portugal in 2001, drug decriminalization would not change the criminality of production and sale of drugs, and it would only look to remove the criminal penalties from the acquisition, the possession, and the consumption. It is not legalization. Legalization is a step beyond decriminalization. For example, in many states, marijuana has been legalized, and it is now regulated in the sale and use of. So, for example, in Portugal, instead of being a criminal offense punishable by imprisonment, drug possession arrests would be dealt with a panel that would encourage treatment for drug addiction and impose fines and community service instead of imprisonment. This is according to the article, What We Can Learn from Portuguese Decriminalization of Illicit Drugs, written by Dr. Caitlin Elizabeth Hughes. So with decriminalization defined, what would be the possible benefits? Mallory Whitelaw, an attorney who authored A Path to Peace in the U.S. Drug War, an article about the possible implementation of drug decriminalization in California, uses data from Portugal to extrapolate potential benefits. Whitelaw uses Portugal's reduced drug arrests after the implementation of drug decriminalization and found on the article written by Dr. Hughes that I previously referenced. She calculated what the data would look like in California. The math that she did in the article would point to economic benefits in the form of reduced arrests mainly. At approximately $750 per arrest, this decrease would save the state over $103 million per year, and the reduced arrests would also allow for relief in the California prison system, leading to taxpayer savings in the form of reducing inmates and costs. So these aren't the only benefits, but I will be moving on to rebuttals now. One such rebuttal that I have found is that drug usage will increase if decriminalization laws are enacted. But in the same article written by Dr. Caitlin Hughes, she compares European countries close to Portugal and found that Portugal was the only one of these nations to have exhibited declines in PDU. PDU meaning problematic drug use. And she states that it provides strong evidence that Portuguese decriminalization has not increased the most harmful forms of drug use. Another rebuttal is that out of the 1.9 million incarcerated, only about 1/5 is comprised of non-violent drug offenses. So the question posed is, why bother? And these numbers are found on the prison policy website that I referenced earlier in my introduction. And that is true. But according to Manpreet Gill, Afrina Zaman, and Jisha Kelikadan, sorry if I butchered any of their names, and many other authors, on the article Socio-Demographic Attributes and Prevalence of Arrest with Possession of Substances in Incarcerated Population in the United States, that 32% of those incarcerated were under the influence of a substance when committing a crime, and 56% of the state prison inmates had taken at least one illicit substance in the month prior to their offense. So while drug decriminalization may not have as large of an immediate impact, it may also help in reducing future crimes by helping reduce drug addictions and getting people treatment. So, in conclusion, there may be more rebuttals against drug decriminalization, but I think that following the path that Portugal has laid down, and from the data that has been collected from their experiments in drug decriminalization, I believe that the United States could stand to benefit greatly from decriminalization, both economically and socially, if done correctly. And I believe that drug decriminalization could play a vital role in reducing mass incarceration and should at least be attempted to some extent in the United States. Thank you.